Hi, I'm Jennifer Elizabeth Masters. I am a soul sculptor. Over the years of working with thousands of women, I have discovered that there are some commonalities with all of us that have such issues with low self-esteem, not being able to tap into our guidance, and having such difficulties feeling lost and victims and victimized by all kinds of situations, whether it's in the workplace or with men. So, what I want to do is sort of dive into these areas to give you a few tips and processes that you could use starting right now to help you feel better, less anxious, more grounded, and to recognize that everything did happen for a reason, and no, you're not crazy. I used to think so too. So the first thing is, number one, you're not a victim. And although some very nasty and horrible things have happened to all of us, those things happened to make us search, to make us seek, to discover what the heck and how can I be happy anyway? Whether it's that you had an alcoholic father, a mother that was just not present, or you lost a parent, you had sexual trauma, no matter what it is, we actually choose these situations so that we will evolve. And yes, I know some of us, it's hard to believe, but once I got my brain around it, this shifted everything for me, because when we think we're a victim, there's a biggie here about that. When we think we're a victim, we think everyone's out to get us, that we have to control, and that we don't feel safe. And that's not true, because I'm here to tell you, you are more in control than you ever could have imagined. So number one, you're not a victim. And number two, take responsibility. So now what does that mean? Well, we have to stop making excuses. We have to stop complaining. And why? Because when we complain, it actually takes our energy on a nosedive, a spiral that goes down. It doesn't make us feel good. And so we have to be in a state of gratitude. So gratitude and appreciation shifts that complaining a lot. And then there are a couple of other things that really get in our way. And emotions. And believe me, I am not pointing fingers. I've experienced everything that I'm talking about, had emotions that were out of control. So when our emotions are out of control, we could be addicted to drama. We may have challenges in relationships, but the bottom line is we have to love ourselves and be happy with who we are as we are. And I'm just going to take a breath here, because this is really important. And the thing that I know that is true is that you're not breathing deeply. And how do I know this? Because I discovered I was holding my breath. We need to breathe deeply to be grounded in our bodies, and that's so important to also be grounded in the present, because if you're focused on what happened yesterday, what you didn't do, or what's going to happen tomorrow, will you meet him tomorrow? Will you have that check tomorrow that you're desiring? We have to be in the present to be able to manifest. We have to be in the present to be happy. So take a deep breath. Drop your shoulders. Breathe in a little bit more. And then exhale. And that felt wonderful, didn't it? So what I'd like you to do, and this is very important, notice how often you don't breathe deeply, and set your phone so that it rings once an hour to remind you to take a deep breath. Because when you breathe deeply, you are grounded in the present, and that is where miracles and magic happen. And it will help to alleviate anxiety and even depression. Walking every day and breathing, being out in nature, will also help you with all of these things. Okay, what's next? And this is one of the things that blocks us. So if we don't love ourselves, then we're focused on what other people think of us. And really, what other people think of us is none of our business. We have to stop worrying about what others think of us and be okay with who we are. Breathe. I love myself as I am. The more authentic that we can be, the more grounded in our body. So what does authentic mean? It means that you're really you. You don't have to try and please other people or do cartwheels to keep somebody. And when we try to please other people, we end up feeling, take a deep breath, lost. We can't make anyone else happy but ourselves. So we have to focus on us. And the point of power is in the present. Remember, breathe. And the first step to loving us is to say loving things. So I want you to think about this relationship with you as if you were dating yourself. So what's the first thing that you would do if you were going to date someone? Get to know them. So I'm going to ask you, what are 10 things that you love about you? And I'm sure you can come up with them. You can talk about your hair, your eyes, your fingers, your teeth, your feet. Just find 10 things you love about you. And then the next thing is 10 things you love to do. And now breathe again. And your mantra, I love me. I love me. And let that float through the background of your mind. And then the next block, so there's about 5 different blocks. We've got the victimhood, blaming, that's number 1. Pleasing others is another. Not loving ourselves, not being kind to us. Worrying about what other people think about us. And not being authentic. Trying to turn ourselves inside out so that people love us or like us. And I'm here to tell you, the more that you can be you, the more not only others will like you, but you're going to like you too. So there's no stretch to being authentic. It's just being who you are. So take another deep breath. And now this is a big one. I want to just tell you a little story. So if you were on a boat without a rudder, that boat would go around in circles. And when our mind is saying things, it often goes off in these tangents and tells us things that aren't good and makes us afraid. That mind, that ego that is chattering all the time can make you feel crazy. So we have to use a mantra to quiet that mind. And that I love me, I'd like to see you use that every day for 30 days. And just notice how you quiet your mind. A mantra is giving your mind a rudder. The conscious mind is what tells the unconscious mind that runs the show. Our unconscious mind needs a rudder. So we have to tell it what to do with our thoughts and our words. I love me. There are other things that you could say to yourself. It's, I'm a beautiful person. I'm lovely inside out. I love the way I love the way I look. My body is at the perfect weight. I love and approve of myself. So there are all sorts of things we can do to program the unconscious mind. The unconscious mind has no sense of humor, and it can't tell the difference between right and wrong. So even if it doesn't feel true, The unconscious mind believes it anyway. So I've had thousands of people ask me, well, what if I don't believe it? Does it still work? Absolutely, because the unconscious mind believes everything we tell it. I am a millionaire. Money comes to me easily and effortlessly. So those things too we can use to program the unconscious mind. Now, the final thing that I'm going to share with you is that when we don't trust ourselves, then we aren't able to tap into our intuition and we don't believe it. And I'll tell you a story, another story. When I had my landscape business in Georgia, I would go out to the barn and my guides would tell me by lighting up things that I needed, and I would argue with them and say, I don't need that tool, I don't need that tarp, I don't need that rake for this job. And I would get to the landscape job, and every single time this happened to me, every single time, the very thing that I argued with my guides about was the thing I needed to complete the job. And so when I sold my business in 2011, I had about 20 tarps and about 15 rakes because I didn't listen. And so eventually I realized my guidance was always accurate. Your guidance is accurate, but you have to trust it. And that is what we need to do by loving ourselves. The more you love you, the more you're going to grow to trust yourself. And you're worth loving. You are. You're worth trusting. And so the emotional piece, we've got to quiet, right? Quiet the emotions. We have to. So that's what I do, is I do energy clearings and I help people to alleviate all these crazy emotions that are running the show. I used to have that too. When the emotions are running the show, we feel anxious, we can feel depressed. It's very hard to quiet the mind. And so that's why I'm recommending that we use mantras. They really help to quiet the mind. So I'm going to just do a recap. We want to not be a victim. So we're going to take responsibility. We're going to quiet the mind with a mantra. We're going to quiet the mind with a mantra. I love me. I'm vibrantly healthy. My body is at the perfect weight. I love myself fearlessly. My little dog is agreeing with me. Okay, so when you're happy with who you are, it's amazing how everything else just falls into place. The addiction to drama falls away. The emotions fall away. We begin to trust ourselves. And all of these things really make a better life for us. So don't try and please everyone else. Don't turn cartwheels to try and keep somebody, because something better is coming. Some new door is opening for you. Okay, so breathe deeply. We're not a victim. We're taking responsibility, loving ourselves, and we're not worrying about what others think of us. And as we grow to love ourselves, we trust ourselves, and then we can tap into that wonderful intuition. And when we do, life gets better. It's miraculous. I'm Jennifer Elizabeth Masters. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you have enjoyed this video. Much love.